going to do like a love fairy tale kind of sweetie thing, or I'll do something a little more creepy and Twilight Zone.
Creepy.
Oh, we'll catch up later. I'll read the low one. Okay, I'll do the, here's creepy and Twilight Zone. Okay. Again, this is actually, again, based on, you know, I like to try to, one thing I do, sometimes I kind of conflate big cities with small town feel. So place is kind of a weird thing in my, I guess, in my mind. I really do think of it. I don't know if you guys ever watch Twilight Zone? Watch those Twilight Zone? Yeah? You know how there's like, sometimes you're like, you don't even know where that place could be. It could be a big city, but then it's a small town, and it kind of feels like both at once, and I kind of do that. I kind of conflate. So this is based on actually a building on 24th Street in Folsom. So I don't know if you guys ever walked that way. There's a Phil's right around there. Well, there's a place, there's a store. It's this like big, well, it used to be. I think now they've opened it up, which makes me really sad, because I used to think it was so mysterious. It was this long, almost walk-long building. It was smoke black windows. There was no sign telling you what it was. But every once in a while you'd see these notes on the board. And I was always mystified about it. The notes were like really just ordinary notes that said hello or how are you? That's so random. So of course I never investigated further, because that would just suck. And then I'd find out it was just some teenager who was, and it's like an auto shop or something. And, you know, so in my mind I wanted it to be something crazy. And so here we go. I made it a candy store. All right, kind of. This is called Suggestions from the Candy Store on 24th Street. For a long time, people tried to avoid the candy store on 24th. No one knew why everyone called it that. No one could remember if the plain white building with the smoked glass windows had ever sold a piece of candy or anything else for that matter. But that wasn't important for people in town. What did matter were the yellow notes taped every day without fail to the store's front windows. The suggestions, as people called them, varied a good bit. Sometimes they were helpful. Jaime Osorno, a teacher who used to live down the street, once received a note telling him to buy a lotto ticket. Jaime had always been a practical man, and he never even thought to play the lotto before, but knowing what everyone else knew about the candy store, he didn't ignore the advice. The next week, you could hear the whooping and screaming at the Osorno home when Jaime found out he won the jackpot. Other times, the results weren't so good. Kevin Brockmeyer was told to follow his wife to her yoga class, only to find out that she was cheating on him with an instructor who fancied himself a guru, and who had a thing against yoga. And Megan Cutler was told to see the doctor about her sickness, which she didn't know she had, but which within 3 weeks would kill her. Of course, most of the suggestions were pretty neutral, even bland at times, like the little notes one gets in a fortune cookie. Be good to your kids, or work hard and one day you'll be successful, that kind of thing. Still, most people hoped they'd never get it, even though everyone in town knew that sooner or later they'd wake up with that sick little feeling that accompanied a yellow note with their name on it taped to that blackened storefront. Everyone got a note eventually. Everyone, that is, except for John Carter. John worked at a bar a block down from the candy store, and in the 20 years he worked at the Barley Mow, never gave the store or its suggestions much thought. In his 20s, he was too busy getting drunk on a Pisco punch, whose recipe he perfected after much trial and error. And in his 30s, he got married and had a kid and then another, so he was too tired to think of much else other than the sleep he wasn't getting. But then, just about the time he was to turn 40, something changed. He started wondering why he was the only person he knew who never received a note. A couple days before his birthday, he walked up and stood in front of the store. He got up close to its front window, but couldn't see what was inside because it was smoked glass. He did, however, see that there was a note awaiting Joni Anderson. Joni often came into his bar, and he liked her. She'd no doubt pick up her note before she came by, and maybe they'd talk about what her note said, maybe not. He hoped the message was a good note, or at least not a bad one. But there was also a small part of him that was jealous. So he decided to take matters into his own hands. He wrote a note of his own and taped it to the window. He wanted to know why he was different from everyone else in town, and suggested that he too should get a note. Then he went to the bar, got drunk, and forgot about what he'd done. But the next morning, when his wife woke him up to remind him that it was his turn to make dinner that night, she seemed uneasy. John was a bit hazy, but once she said something about the store, he woke right up. He turned on the news and found out that the morning anchor woman seemed less sunny than usual. For the first time in as many years as anyone could remember, there was no note awaiting anyone on the candy store window. As much as people wanted to avoid the place and its yellow little notes, now the town was in an uproar. By the time John got dressed and out of the house, it seemed like everyone was out of the street wringing their hands. John worried that maybe he'd caused a problem, but he didn't tell anyone what he'd done the night before. The next day was the same as was the day after that and the day after that. People started getting desperate as the noteless days went on. They came to believe that a void had formed in the town, a gaping hole that needed to be filled. At the bar, it was all anyone could talk about, which only made John feel more guilty. After about a month with no notes, John couldn't stand it anymore. He decided that maybe he just needed to apologize. So after pouring himself a few too many Jamesons, he poured his heart out into a piece of paper, apologizing if he'd offended anyone, and asking for the notes to start up again, which, as it turned out, they did the next day. In fact, the next morning, a note with John's name on it was taped to the store window. That is to say, a piece of yellow paper with just John's name was taped there. Apart from that, where usually there would have been a suggestion, there was nothing. Just yellow space. No one thought much of it. They were just glad that things were returning to normal. But the next day, another blank note appeared, and then another, and another after that, all addressed to John Carney. People were curious at first, and then incensed. They thought he was hogging the candy store's attention. After a while, they started to whisper when John passed them on the street as he made his way to pick up his note for the day. What, they wondered, did it mean? What did it mean to get a blank note? What advice could be derived from that? It had to mean something. It had to, didn't it?
Wow.